I have this really fiery wife. You know, my wife she's amazing. She's a really great woman. But I have to pick my arguments, and I have to pick my times, and I have to pick when I want to get my point across. But there's a ramifications for that. And sometimes I think we try to avoid the things that we want to say or we have to say. And the problem is that you can't have the pleasure of avoiding something that you got to say without the pain of it. And then what happens is, in my life, I'll find that I'll just wait for something to happen and I'll just blow up over the smallest thing. And the reason that I blow up over the smallest thing is basically, and in that, once I blow up over that smallest thing, I get out of myself everything that I wanted to say. I'll say, blah, 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 you know, you did this and you said this and da, 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 da. And what I've realized over time, and being in my relationship, is that when we avoid these things, it's like there's an emotional bank account is building up, and it's like an emotional dam is about to burst its walls. And we avoid them because we don't feel we have the skill and ability to communicate or articulate on a loving level and get the outcome that we want from what it is we want to articulate. So in those moments, we feel like, you know, I'm not going to get the outcome that I actually want here. Now, the funny thing about the human brain is that it has this thing called the reticular activating system. And I've been doing a bit of research, a bit of study on it, and, you know, really boiling it down so people can understand it. And the reticular activating system works like this. If you go in and you buy a brand new red Holden Commodore, when you walk out of that car yard, what are you going to see everywhere? At every set of lights, you're going to see a Holden Commodore, or you're going to see a red car. And what happens is that when you drop into your reticular activating system an outcome that you want to achieve, the environment around you tends to attract towards you whatever you need, and it tends to bring it about as quickly as possible. But the same thing works with our arguments and in our relationships. When you have a point that you want to get across, if you put into your reticular activating system the greatest outcome that you can actually get from this experience, you will tend to bring it about. So if you go, okay, I want to discuss something with my partner, or I want to discuss something with my boss, and here's how I want to feel at the end of this, and here's how I see that rolling out. You have to understand, you're creating your outcomes anyway. You're in charge of the whole thing. You've been in charge of it the whole thing. This thing is not happening to you. You are happening to it. So when you stop and you pop into your reticular activating system, the outcomes that you actually want, and you've taken control of that, the emotions that you want to feel, the level of connection and love that you want to feel, and how you want to see the two of you come together at the end, life will bring that about. Now, when I started playing with this, the first time it happened, I thought, nah, that's just coincidence. Then it happened again. Then it happened again. And it was only after like the 5th time that this occurred that I started to fully understand the power, the true power and the true nature of using our reticular activating system to get the outcomes that we actually want. Now, what that did was it empowered me and enabled me, and it empowers us and enables us to start to really take control of our relationships and start to really take control of our lives and the outcomes that we actually want. And what I'd love to see people do with this piece of information is to, you know, if you've got a challenge ahead of you, really ask yourself, with this challenge, what is the greatest outcome that you can get from this challenge? And allow yourself to feel and resonate with what you want to feel. And then ask yourself, okay, and then what will it roll out like? What will the scene actually look like? And attach the feeling to the scene. And put that into your reticular activating system. And another cool thing to do is actually pop it into your phone, that, you know, you just write it down, that you're picking up the phone and you're ringing your buddy or your mate and you go, man, I just had the greatest outcome with my partner, or I just had the greatest outcome with my boss, and this is what happened in terms of that outcome. That is the best use of your reticular activating system. And that is really how we can take control of our environment in terms of our relationships and the outcomes that we want. So when we don't want to fall victim to our own inability to communicate, so when we don't want to fall victim to not taking charge of the outcome, the best way to do that, as I said, is to start to play with your reticular activating system. Start to ask yourself, okay, what's the outcome I actually want? You don't want to fall victim to the universe's outcome. And when you don't take charge of your own outcomes, the universe has to take charge, and it normally delivers it in a way that you're not very happy with. And you're not happy with it not because of how the universe delivered it, but you're not happy with it because you didn't take charge of it in the first place. So don't avoid. We have to not avoid the pain and the pleasure. If there's something we got to say, take responsibility. Put into your reticular activating system how you want to feel, and put into your reticular activating system how you want it to roll out. And I promise you, you will see that life has had your back the whole time, and you'll get the outcomes that you actually want.